Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed, live from Los Angeles. I'm Alex Curry in for Jenny Taft. And I'm here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Yeah.
Whoa.
You don't have Jenny to protect you anymore. You're in big trouble.
That's all right. I got a great pinch hitter. She filled in before.
Really?
Keep you in check.
Here we go.
You good?
Yep.
I love it. Well, LeBron made his return to Lakers practice last week in LA as the Lakers begin their title chase in Orlando. But he appears motivated as ever and captioned a photo on Instagram with, quote, "Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Been that, and I'm still standing upright and strong." So, Shannon, what is LeBron saying here?
Kind of like that Elton John song, Skip. I'm still standing. You remember that song, Skip?
So we're mixing metaphors here. We're mixing Shakespeare and Elton John right off the bat.
But here's the thing, Skip. You know this. You're a Shakespearean historian. And you know that was not the original quote in which he uttered. He says, "Uneasy is the head that wears the crown."
That lies.
Lies the crown.
Thank you.
Yes.
Lies. Let's get it accurate.
So, Skip, what he's saying, in translation through English time and coming on down, Skip, there's a lot of responsibility when you are the king. That's what he's saying. But in other words, LeBron's not saying he's the king. He said there's a lot of responsibility on me. When you are the face of the NBA, when you are the leader of a team, when you are the leader, you're so socially active in what's going on in America, there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with that. And with that, there can be no slip up. In other words, what he's saying, Skip, although there's a lot of responsibility, there is no time to relax. There is no time to take your foot off the gas. He uses that term a lot. I'm not taking my foot off the gas. And he's made it abundantly clear. He hashtags a lot. Still locked in. Nothing has changed, Skip Bayless. So, with that being said, there is a lot of responsibility. Heavy. The crown is on this man's head. That's a lot of responsibility in this, Skip. He knows what's expected of him. He knows that given the circumstances in which they're trying to win a title, in a shortened season, in a sprint to the finish, it's no longer a marathon, it is a sprint. And you're in the, Adam Silver said, don't call it a bubble, call it confined space or whatever, however he wants to term it, Skip. But in this situation, this is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this. There's going to be some titles won. There's going to be one, possibly one, hopefully in baseball and in hockey and in basketball, that we've never seen anything like this. And so the mind is going to have to be mentally focused. And LeBron James bears a lot of responsibility, Skip. There will be no excuses. I know, although you've already tried to attach an asterisk by it, but I won't let you do that. I will not. I got a term for it if something unforeseen were to happen if the Lakers don't win it, but I'm going to save that. I'm not going to let you use it.
Okay.
But, Skip, I agree with LeBron James. There is a lot of responsibility that's on his shoulders, being the face of the league, being the face of the Lakers, being the best player. I believe he's still the best player in the NBA, so he must deliver. He must get them through this. And there's a lot going on off the court, and he still has to wear that crown as well because he's very socially active. He's very responsible in that regard. So I understand exactly what he's saying.
So, as sometimes is the case with LeBron James, this one came out of left field for me and gave me pause. I had to stop and try to psychoanalyze where did this come from and why did it come now? Because it suggests that LeBron is somehow under attack, like somehow he's being bombarded by negativity, that someone has called him out or challenged him, or that there's something operating behind the scenes, under the surface, and I'm not aware of any of that because there doesn't seem to be an obvious reason to post that this is an IG post, to post that at this moment. And you say it's just in general, it's just his whole career. Like he says, I've spin that.
Yeah, he has.
So he's been doing this for 17 years. Heck, he's been doing it
19.
For 19 or 20 years.
19 since he was 17. He's about to be 36 in December. So he's been doing it for 19.
Okay, so I'm looking for the negativity, and maybe you could point something out. I don't know anything that happened lately.
Every day he cuts the TV on and listens to Skip Bayless. That's the negativity.
Bingo! Maybe it was Friday when I made fun of his Laker hype video, which deserved to be made fun of.
Nope.
He's better than that. He doesn't need to tell us he's good. Just show us. Just go do it.
Tom Brady does it all the time. Tom Brady, what about Tom versus time? What was that? He's days on IG.
That guy is
I don't care what he is. No, don't do that.
Out of 9, and this guy is 3 championships out of 9. So one guy's 6-3, and the other guy is the reverse Brady, 3-6.
You see what you did there?
I didn't do anything. I just spat facts.
Why was there necessary for the last dance? Michael Jordan had already accomplished that. We had already seen with Michael. So why would he need to do that?
I told you why he got sick and tired of hearing how about LeBron say, I'm the king. King of what?
You know what
King of Akron? No. I'll give you king of Akron.
Yeah. NBA.
3-6 and you're the king of the NBA? I thought Kawhi Leonard was the new king of LA. I don't know. It just seemed that way to me. Well, we're about to find that out, aren't we? Because Kawhi's team is now 2-1 this season, and we're still in this season against that guy's Lakers with his new co-star AD.
Opening day, we'll be 2-2.
Okay, well, we may have some do on that, but we're waiting to see exactly who shows up in the bubble.
What difference does it make?
It makes a lot of difference because I start to read into this, and I think the more I look, the better it gets for LeBron James right now because everything is coming up like Rose Bowl roses. Like I don't know what else you could. It's like what more could go right for LeBron right now, except the fact that he did lose Avery Bradley, a starter for them.
Yes, and possibly lose
Dwight Howard.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Dwight will also say, because of personal reasons and cause reasons, family reasons and cause reasons, he will also stay home, as Avery has already chosen to do. But in the bigger picture, that certainly hasn't affected the betting odds because Fox Bet still says, as of I looked late last night, the Lakers and the Bucks are co-favorites to win the championships. So how heavy can the head be? Are you just feeling pressure? Are you starting to feel insecure because of what you always call expectations?
The responsibility, Skip, you do know that there's more expected of LeBron James than any other player. He's also the face of the NBA. He's also a part of a movement that's transpiring outside of this bubble. That's a lot of responsibility. So heavy, that's responsibility. And he says, I'm still standing. I've had this responsibility since I was 17 years of age, from the very first time that nationally everybody knew who the chosen one was when they put my face on Sports Illustrated. And I've come through with shining colors. Flying colors, Skip Bayless.
So who is the favorite to win the West right here, right now on Fox?
The Lakers.
The Lakers are pretty significant favorites, are reasonable favorites. And his co-star Anthony Davis said on Thursday that they should be even, the word he used was higher favorites, because when they are healthy, they are even better than everybody else, including the Bucks. So help me out. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is LeBron starting to feel too much pressure?
But a lot of times, sometimes championship come down to attrition. How healthy are you? But everybody's healthy. Remember, Giannis had tweaked his knee against the Lakers on that Friday night. He had already started to miss some games. Kawhi Leonard, we know, Skip, that he was starting to, he likes to load manage. So now he's healthy. So everybody is returning in tip-top shape. Guys that maybe was going to miss another week or two, now they come back in tip-top shape. So the Lakers are not the only team that's completely healthy.
Who got the biggest break?
Oh, my goodness.
From the pandemic? It's not even close.
We didn't need
that guy, the phony 23, the phony goat, but that guy got the biggest break of all time from the injury gods, because the injury gods decreed, let there be Bron. They said, LeBron, you just had a great stretch. In fact, I thought he edged ahead in the MVP race with the way they closed. Wait a second, and guess what happened? He got 5 months off. 5 months? And then you play a measly 8 games just to get you geared back up for a playoff run.
Who asked for that?
So wait a second. We just went from The Last Dance, watching Michael Jordan do his GOAT thing, And now we're going to have the fast dance, last dance to fast dance, and this guy is going to steal a fast dance. It's all set up for him. Shannon, the injury god said, "Here, LeBron, we hand you your 4th championship."
Those didn't. When?
They're favored, and he got 5 months off in year 17 to rest that body of his. Who benefited more? Kawhi benefited some, but not as much as that guy did. He is finishing his 17th season. Who got a bigger break than that? And the way they finished what got interrupted was with a huge flourish, with an exclamation point, because they had just been on an 11-1 tear. And you remember what had happened? They went to Zion and kicked his butt.
Yeah.
And then they kicked the Bucks' butt.
Yeah.
And then I won't say they kicked their butts, but they
Butt venom.
They hung on to hold off the Clippers. They hung on to hold off the Clippers. So all of a sudden, and speaking of the Bucks and Clippers, on Thursday we hear the Clippers have had to prematurely shut down their training facility because of a positive test. And then last night I hear the Bucks have had to prematurely shut down their training facility because of some within the organization positive tests that we're not sure of. Was it a player or an executive or just somebody who works in the organization? We don't know for sure. But those 2 threats to the Lakers had to shut it down already. So what more could you ask for? I don't know how you could ask for a better circumstance than what he is. And now he's saying heavy is the head.
First of all, Skip, how about this? You're giving us something we didn't ask for. Remember, we talked about this the other day, playing the Black National Anthem and taking Aunt Jemima off service. Nobody asked for that. We didn't ask for a break. We were clicking. We were rolling.
Ask for it, but you got one.
Can you give me what I asked for?
Well, you got something you weren't even thinking of because you thought it was impossible to get a 5-month break before you start the playoffs.
We got something we didn't need. We were rolling. We were blending.
Michael Jordan played 82 games 9 times. He played 80-plus games 11 times. So did he ever get any break before the playoffs? No.
He took a year and a half off.
Oh, he didn't take it. It was forced upon him. Forced.
And then
you think he wanted to?
And then he took another 3 years off. I mean, the man took 4.5 years off in the middle of his career.
He ended his career in 1998 in Chicago. That was the end of that.
No, it wasn't.
He quit out of conscience because he was behind Phil Jackson. I think he got taken to the cleaners on that one, but whatever.
Skip, I would have excused him. You remember in World War II, there are a lot of baseball players, Bob Feller, and there are a lot of players that had to give up their careers, Ted Williams put their careers on hold, go serve in the war. Has he done that? Okay, no problem. He took time off because the media was too tough on him.
That's not true.
Can you imagine? He was burnt out. Can you imagine in this social media age where
you know and I know that was not the reason, and you have acknowledged that was not the reason.
Time out.
Somebody is practicing revisionist history to make a new case.
Hold on. Just imagine if you got 300 million Shannon Sharps and Skip Baylesses, because that's what social media is. You got 300 million head coaches, 300 million general managers, 300 million. And he stepped away because a handful of reporters was asking him some tough questions.
You know and I know what happened, and it was not about media pressure.
I know what's about to happen. You and I both know that, too, but you don't want to admit it.
So you speak of how LeBron is obviously a Shakespearean expert.
Yeah.
He knows history, and he knows Shakespeare. And as LeBron would be the first to tell you, that line comes from a play called, written by William Shakespeare, called King Henry IV, Part 1, not Part 2, Part 1. And it was line number 31 in Act 3, Scene 1. And the line is, as you correctly read it before, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. What was King Henry IV? Why did he utter that line? Because he was feeling extraordinary pressure to live up to wearing that crown because he was under fire. He could not sleep. That's why he said lies the head, meaning lying in bed. You've got the crown on your head and it's uneasy. You can't sleep. He was haunted because what happened? He usurped the throne from Richard II. He didn't just inherit it by birthright. He usurped it from Richard II. So he was constantly under fire, under attack, just the way that guy usurped the throne from the real 23. That's what he did. He usurped it.
Hostile takeover.
He had tattooed on his back, as we can see in the picture, chosen one while he was in high school. He chose to wear number 23. It didn't choose him. He said, no, I got next. He announced to the world at age 18, I got next.
Got it.
And he immediately, shall we say, borrowed the powder toss routine that was made famous by the real number 23 in Chicago.
Oh, this we did this.
So he just said to the world, here, I throw up powder to announce my arrival. I am the new Jordan. Did he not say that?
He did. Jordan
he wished that upon himself.
Jordan didn't want to relinquish the crown. So what we did, Skip, see what we did, the CEO, we offered a bid for your company. The CEO said no. So we went to the shareholders, which happened to be the fans. And so what we did was what we call a hostile takeover.
Really?
We took over the company. So now it's us. We're in the front. And you know what's coming.
And you fooled a lot of them with social media posts like this one.
No, Skip. All I'm saying is this, Skip. You know, no player has had the responsibility, has come from high school with the expectations. I would like to think LeBron James has exceeded the expectations, because if anybody told you that he was going to be this, a high school kid is going to be the greatest scorer of all time, a guy that's going to go to more NBA finals. I mean, I don't know if he's going to catch Russell, because he's got 9, Russell has 12. Skip, I don't know if that's going to happen, but he's exceeded expectations. Jordan didn't have these expectations because they said, we didn't know he could do this. We knew what he could do, but we didn't know he could do it to that extent.
But LeBron did not have to play for Dean Smith at North Carolina, because there was only one man who could stop Michael Jordan, and that was Dean Smith.
You know why he had to go play for Dean Smith? He wasn't good enough to go straight to the NBA. That's what happens, Skip Bayless.
Really?
Skip, sometimes you have to take different routes to get to college. Sometimes you got to go to the military, get the GI Bill, come back. Sometimes you got to work. Sometimes you get a scholarship. My guy was so good, he pole vaulted all that. Straight to the NBA. Straight to paying bills. His bills, mama bills, grandma bills. That's what he did.
If the rules had been the same back in Jordan's day,
he wasn't coming.
Been different.
He wasn't coming. He wasn't coming. Stop.
Well, he was true to his school, a school that you should also be true to, because you love that school.
I do love that. That is my school. Long as they keep on beating Duke down, they're gonna still be my school. Skip, you know what's on the responsibility that this man is under. The pressure, you know, is pressure. Heavy is the head.
I thought you keep telling me we got this. I thought you kept telling me this is going to be a cakewalk championship.
Skip, you still have to play. All this paper and their favorite and they're the betting favorite and this and all that. That means nothing. You still have to go out there and play the games. And the responsibility, nobody, because when we talk about Kawhi, we're not talking about Kawhi as the face of the NBA. We're not talking about Kawhi. We're talking about strictly basketball. LeBron James is so much bigger than just the game of basketball. You know that. I know that. That's a lot of responsibility. And anytime there's responsibility, Skip, you must walk upright all the time. The thing that I like about America is that you can sometimes become whatever you want. But the people that build you up, they're watching from sniper position to try to tear you down and take shots at you also. So,
how many? One?
No, don't do that, Skip. You know how this thing. You know how this thing.
I don't know anybody else.
Yeah,
Except that everybody during the Last Dance said it's obvious that Jordan was better than LeBron. Everybody. Do we have to start back down the list? The list is too long. I'd need 2.5 hours of show just to read the list of people who weighed in and said, I'm sorry, but Jordan was just better. Just
because they say it does not make it true.
Okay, well, you can live in your self-delusion and illusion if you want to. But I'm going to cap this off. Speaking of Kawhi Leonard, I'm going to remind LeBron even of this, because we have actually a flip side of the break he got was the bad break that the Clippers got. And I think they're the biggest threat to LeBron right now. Only 12 times this year did the full Clippers roster get to play together. They were 11-1 in those games, and the one, to your point, did come in that third game against the Lakers. They lost that with their full roster together. And all of a sudden, they stopped because they had to, and they needed reps. They needed to play out the rest of the season in sequence, on time, to try to figure out how do we do this together to beat that group, because Kawhi and Paul George played 32 games together, while that guy and his new co-star from New Orleans played 53 games together. So it's 53-32 on 2 stars versus 2 stars getting to play together. The Clippers don't yet know each other. It's going to be very difficult for them just to flip the switch inside the bubble and say, okay, here we go. They needed 28 games to figure each other out, and they're going to get 8 before they, and the first one is going to come against that guy.
So we're blaming AD and LeBron for drinking milk as kids compared to your guys that didn't and are brittle. Paul George and Kawhi are brittle. They should have drank milk.
Really?
Yeah, it does a body good.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they couldn't afford milk.
I have
no idea.
So now they can't afford milk.
They can't afford milk because LeBron was living large up there in Akron.
Look at that man.
Yeah.
Hey, look, responsibility.
Yeah.
Think about it, Skip. You become the head of the house at 18 years of age.
Well, okay, I'll give you that. But heavy is the head that wears the crown. I start thinking, well, he does have a big head, as in, like
No, he doesn't.
Sort of figuratively a big head. He gets big-headed sometimes.
No, he doesn't.
So heavy is the head that tries to bear up under the crown.
And
right?
all we've seen over the last 3 months, almost every other day, is some guy down in Tampa that's breaking quarantine to post videos. And the one time the man said something, you want to call into question the reasons why.
That guy is possessed.
Yeah, I don't care.
He is upset.
Well, for what?
He doesn't care about any COVID. He just says, I'm going to go win number 7.
Yeah.
I'm going to show the coach who drove me out of Foxborough, I'm going to win 7 now.
Yeah, it's people like him is the reason why Florida and California and Texas are shutting back down. Because they don't care.
And he doesn't care.
Yeah, see?
Yep.
See what don't care to get us?
Okay, well, I don't think he cares either.
You see, every time he got the video on, he got the mask on.
Does he?
He's shooting hoops with the mask on.
Really?
He might
play with the mask?
He might. Because he got the lung capacity to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
No mercy.
The story about the Washington Redskins potentially changing their name continues as we wait for Dan Snyder to make it official. Head coach Ron Rivera told the Washington Post that he's had discussions with Snyder about it for more than a month and added, quote, if we get it done in time for the season, it would be awesome. So, Shannon, are you convinced that they're actually going to change the name?
Oh, it's happening. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. It won't be long, Skip. I mean, he can hold out long as he wants to. But, Skip, this goes to our premise, what you and I have been talking about for 3 years now. Powerful people affect change. And you see what's happening? Them advertising dollars. And then now 3 minority owners in his own organization. He owns 60%, the other 3 own 40%. They want out. Skip, I think they come to the realization, say, you know what, Skip, people evolve. I get it. When they named the team back in 1933, I think, Preston Marshall named the team. The Cleveland Indians, we're going to talk about them. They named the Indians in 1915. Skip, I get it. Back then, it was acceptable. Not that it was right. It was acceptable. You would like to think in 30, 40, 50, 60 years, almost 100 years, people evolve, people change, mind change, and say, you know what? That's not a good name. I mean, think about it. Skip, what you think of the likelihood today? I get me a team, and I name them, I'm going to name my team from Georgia, I'm going to name them the Glenville Caucasians or the Glenville African Americans. People, hell no, you ain't finna do that. Okay. It was acceptable back then. That would never be acceptable now. So what's the problem? But the bottom line is, Skip, the reason why he's feeling this pressure, the pressure that was normally applied by the fans, they were still showing up to the game. They're like, well, y'all talk about y'all want me to change this name, but y'all coming here cheering and y'all singing hell, that. No. But when, I got it right here, Fred Smith, the CEO and started FedEx, Robert Wathman, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, Skip. Dwight, is it Scar or Shar?
I'm not sure either, but those are the big 3.
That's it. So they're like, you know what, Skip, they probably went there and sat down and talked to him. And they say, well, look, I think the climate is right. I think that it's time for a change. And you know him, Skip, remember a couple of years ago, I would never. Now, what he should have said, I would never sell the team.
He wrote that in a statement and put it in all caps. N-E-V-E-R, all caps.
All caps.
Never change.
I don't really think he has a choice in the matter on this one, because the groundswell is so great, and he'll never have a better opportunity for him to do the right thing and not receive any blowback from the people that want to hold that name. Really, it's only him. I mean, it's only a handful of people, Skip. It's only a handful to say, let's hold on to it. It's a pride thing for who? For you? Because it's pride for you, Skip, because you said you weren't going to change it. That's the pride in the fact. But Skip, I don't see any circumstance that would say the next 6 months to a year that they're not playing under new name. It doesn't change anything, Skip. They still a professional football team. They make it seem like the name, if you change the name, now all of a sudden we're something else. No, you're not. A rose would still smell the same, even if it wasn't called a rose. Who said that, Skip? Was that your guy?
It's sort of, you paraphrased it, but we're quoting a lot of Shakespeare.
A rose by
any name. Still a rose.
Yes.
Yep. That is true. So, quick point of order before I answer this question. If you did have a team called the Glenville Caucasians and it was a basketball team, it would be in trouble on the court as well as off the court.
I'll let LeBron run that thing. I'll let LeBron run that point.
You would?
Win the championship every year.
Well, can he play for the...
Yeah, he can play. Bill Russell played. He was a coach and a player.
But for the Caucasians, can you play? I don't know. I guess you could.
Yeah.
I don't know. But whatever. Let's get back to business. I'm going to believe this when I see it. I told you, I feel like I've campaigned against this nickname for, 20 years on television. And in 2014, I was just as convinced as you are at this moment that it was over and done with, because they were about to lose their trademark. Right. They were under threat, under fire. Right. If you don't change your nickname, you're going to lose your trademark, and it could be financially crippling for Daniel Snyder.
Right.
That's when he dug in and said never. And he made his case that this name is intended to honor and pay respect to Native Americans. And we're like, baloney, look at the history of this nickname. If it's not a racial slur, it's at least incredibly disparaging and disrespectful,
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, however you want to couch it. And then came the now infamous Washington Post poll of 2016, in which they surveyed 504 Native Americans out of the approximate 5 million in our country right now. And 9 out of 10 said we are not offended by that name. Right. And I'm sure Dan Snyder was beating his chest over that one. Right. But my point on television was, if 1 out of 10 is offended, then you should change that name.
And then, Skip, there was a poll that was just taken in February at Cal Berkeley.
Yes.
And it was like 70% says it needs to go.
And NFL.com did a poll right after the Washington Post poll and broke it down into demographics. And the younger demographic was 70% anti the name.
Right.
Okay, so did it skew older, the group that they surveyed, the Washington Post? I don't know, but a lot of Native Americans rose up and said no to that. Organization of journalists said that's misleading and misrepresenting.
Skip, they said the term Redskin came from, they offered rewards, 50 pounds for a scalp of a male, 25 pounds for a female, and 20 pounds for a child 12 or younger.
Yeah. No, so we declared war.
So what is that?
It was a war. And they killed a lot of us, and we killed a whole lot of them. And we tortured and just imprisoned a whole lot of them because we took them and put them on reservations.
Yeah, and forced them to walk the Trail of Tears.
Yeah, that was 10,000 deaths on the walk from Florida, Alabama, Georgia, all the way to what was called Indian Territory.
I mean, think about that. How many people, Skip, gonna be able to walk from where they started? Because it's Oklahoma and Montana and
part of it was in the winter, and they're just gonna die, and they did. Okay, so my point is, in 2014, under fire to lose your trademark, it dragged through court, and it dragged on through court, and it dragged, and thanks, I guess, to friends in high places, it just died a natural or unnatural death in court. I don't know what happened to it. I never heard the end of it. Okay, so what did we talk about? The original, the founder and owner of the Redskins, one of the great bigots in the history of the National Football League, an obvious out-and-out racist named George Preston Marshall. He was finally forced to integrate not until 1962 because Robert F. Kennedy threatened to take away his 30-year lease, very advantageous to the Washington football team.
Correct.
In old, what was called D.C. Stadium, which ironically became named RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Stadium.
Yep.
But under that threat of financially crippling you by taking your lease away, he finally said, okay, I give up, I integrate, and they took Ernie Davis high in the draft. I think was he number one?
He was number one.
Yeah. And Ernie Davis said, I ain't playing for that team, right?
Right.
And so they were forced to try again.
Right.
So the point was, that's what it took. It took like governmental intervention and threat to make this happen. So again, we read the other day that Nike has pulled its quote unquote Redskin gear off its website. Okay. That's a huge start right there. And we're told that both PepsiCo and then of course FedEx anti this nickname. So even if you lose 40% of your minority investors, Dan Snyder's a very wealthy man. He could make that part up. Like he can get other investors to come in, or he could probably foot that bill himself.
Now, when he's only worth 2.6, then to say the value, it fluctuates between 3.1 and 3.4 billion dollars.
Okay.
So you're looking at 1.24 to 1.5, maybe 1.6.
Whatever. I'm just saying he could probably raise that money. And FedEx was the naming rights on the stadium.
Normally, when these teams come available, and they don't come available often, you have multiple bidders wanting to get this.
Yep.
It's not no thing that's going. It's not like a house, Skip, that might be on the market for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. They come on the market, and within a day or two, you got 10, 15 people want to buy one of these franchises.
Okay. So I will bet you that right now, Dan Snyder's game plan is that he's hoping to wait this out.
Yeah.
He's hoping that Black Lives Matter dies down just a little bit so he goes back under the radar with his nickname.
Right.
And he loves his nickname because he grew up a Redskin fan, and he, out of sentimentality, he's talking about you can't do this to the longtime fans because this is what we grew up with. And by the way, Ron Rivera also spent part of his childhood as a military so-called brat, traveled with his parents to military bases. For a while, he was in the Washington area, went to a Joe Theismann camp and had an affinity for the team called the Redskins. And he said, during my time growing up, I couldn't have even thought. He said it was hard to fathom that was in any way a racist thing in those days, to your point.
Yes.
So, but Ron Rivera went so far as to say a couple of days ago, if we get it done in time for this season, it would be awesome, as if this is, to use Jerry Jones' favorite word, imminent. Like it's imminent.
Yes.
And he indicated that the owner is ready to make the move. Well, if I know the owner, who is a shrewd operator, is it possible that he sent out his new coach as one of the 4 minority coaches? Obviously, there are 3 African-American.
Correct.
I think Ron is Mexican and Puerto Rican heritage.
Right.
But Ron Rivera, he'd be the perfect spokesman for the team to go out and say, hey, we're open-minded now. In fact, we're kicking around nicknames, and we have 2 that we really like. Well, what are the 2? Well, I can't tell you that yet. Well, are you just trying to placate us?
Yes.
Are you just trying to pat us all on the head and say, hey, we've even come up with a couple of goodies here?
Well, the Generals, the Harlem Globetrotters own the copyright to the Generals.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously that would cost you a couple. But, Skip, teams have changed names before. And guess what? People still show up to the game to root for them.
Okay. So he went so far, Ron Rivera, to say that he wanted the name to be respectful of Native American culture and traditions, and also as a tribute to the military, because he was the son of an Army officer, as I said. And he noted that many Native Americans serve in the military, and he believes the name should reflect that. So is that why the Braves get a pass? Because it's more of a salute.
Term of brave, you're brave.
You're brave, right? Or even the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
So you're at least nicknaming off the leaders of the tribes.
Correct. Yes.
So is that paying enough respect that it's not disrespectful to refer to a Native American, use a Native American
slur? I guess they deem that the R word as a slur or derogatory.
Right, derogatory.
I guess they look at the Braves and saying, no, they're saying we're brave, we're noble. Skip, what does the military got to do with this?
I don't know.
Skip, you know what I'm noticing? Anytime someone doesn't like something, they always fall back to the military, because you can't say anything bad about the military. Yep. The same military that when Colin Kaepernick took a knee, that everybody said, oh, the truth, the truth. Now, it's been reported, Washington Post and everybody else said the Russians put bounties on the troops' head, and I ain't heard a Republican say not one thing about it yet. So was it ever about the troops? I'm missing something, Skip. You know, I'll pay attention.
That's a very good point.
Why ain't nobody talk about that?
You are missing something on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But Skip, the military, leave the military out of this. This is about a name that a group of people, that a demographic of people say, you know what, we find this offensive, and we no longer want this to be associated with you and us. Can you please change it? It ain't got nothing to do with the military.
Well, you brought up the other day, you would like to hear that a consortium, a majority of NFL owners would go to Dan Snyder and say, that's enough.
Yes.
I don't know if they have the power to do that, but I would think if they united as a whole, as a group, if you got 31-1.
But you got to realize Dan Snyder, he ain't good. See, he ain't good with the right ones. The Jerrys, the Mr. Krabs. So you, Skip, I mean, everybody, you know what I'm saying? You know, you got the big four.
Do not underestimate, because I know Washington well enough, because I've been there so many times for Cowboy games, that a lot of the most powerful politicians are big Washington,
Skip,
you know what fans.
You know what he's hoping. He's hoping come November, the guy that he's financially backed gets back in office, and then, ta-da.
You're still good.
Yes,
right?
That's what he's hoping.
You're probably right about that. That's why I will be shocked if it gets done before the kickoff on September, what would it be, 13th of the first real game. And I'm going to be surprised if it gets done at all, because this man keeps beating the system because he is part of the Washington system.
He's part of the system.
Yep.
No mercy.
After signing former MVP Cam Newton, New England became just the 6th team in NFL history to add a former MVP quarterback to its roster after having made the playoffs the prior season. And here's some good news for Pat fans. All 5 of the previous teams went on to make the postseason the following year. So, Shannon, is Cam going to make it 6 for 6?
I believe it'd be 6 for 6. Betting 1,000.
Really?
Yeah, the AFC East.
You don't sound real confident about that.
I sound very confident. Skip, like I said, I believe the expectations, because I believe Buffalo, what they did last year, Skip, nothing was expected. Now everybody's actually thinking that Buffalo should and could win the division. That's a lot of expectation. Do I take Josh Allen? Do I take Cam Newton? I'll take Cam. Do I want Fitzmagic at Miami, or do I want Cam? Yeah, I take Cam.
What about Tua?
That might be a different story. But Tua not going to start the season.
You don't know that.
I do know that. I feel very comfortable in saying that. And plus, the one thing, we always keep that big joker, Coach Hoodie, old Belichick. Don't you believe in him more than all the other coaches? Absolutely. Skip, like I
don't
said,
know, that chip off his block down in Miami, I think he's starting to get things going.
We made him. We created him.
Well, he got you in the last regular season game.
We
knocked you right out of the 2 seed.
Yeah. Did we create Tom Brady? Coach Belichick says, I created that. If I created that one, I can make another one.
I think Brady created Belichick.
Skip, if we go back to look at Cam. Cam last season, the first half of 2018, Skip, they were 6-2. He had 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. They were averaging over 27 points a game. And then the shoulder happened. And he was never the same after that. And he hadn't been the same after that. I believe Cam has been played through injuries over the last several years with the shoulder, with the foot. And now I believe if Cam is healthy, they're winning this division. They're the better coach. They have the better quarterback. Now, do they necessarily have the better talent from top to bottom? Nah, I'm not going to say that. But I believe in Cam. I believe in Coach Belichick more than I believe in any other quarterback-coach combination in that division. And with that being said, they're going to still be top 10. Skip, they got, last 13 or 14 years, top 10 scoring defense. Number 1 in scoring D and total D last year. I know they lost Kyle Van Noy. They traded Deron Harmon. They lost Jamie Collins.
Landon Roberts. Danny Shelton.
But
they lost them all, and I'm not sure who they added.
We added Josh Uche. We added Anthony Jennings from Alabama. And we took a second-round DB, a safety, Kyle Duggar. So
He's supposed to be something. He's a specimen, man.
Not that Duggar family that's in Alabama, that's down in Arkansas. They got those 19 kids.
I got it. Not
them.
Okay. So, I have bad news for you and for Cam Newton. This streak is about to come to an end of 5 straight, and it would be 6 straight MVPs going to the playoffs when they join a new team.
Who was the last team to do it?
The last team to do it was the 2012 Broncos. And what had happened in 2011?
But I don't know what happened.
What had happened in 2011?
But I ask you that.
I'm about to get to that, but here's the point. This will not be Cam's fault. It will be Belichick's fault because the cupboard is getting very bare in New England. It just has. And I don't know why, except I think he's trying to prove his genius by saying, I'm not even going to try hard to make my team a lot better than it was last year. I'm just going to do a little of this and a little of that and a whole lot of me. This is about me, and I'm going to show you I am the genius, and I was responsible for the 9 Super Bowls and the 6 victories, not that quarterback who's now in Tampa. So to do that, he needs to undercut even himself. He needs to not try hard to go out and make free agent splashes because he didn't make any.
Yeah.
He added Damiere Byrd.
I want to know where the money at. Where the money go?
I don't know. That's a very good question. Although he has dead cap money, I believe it's 11 or 12 million. That's Brady money.
Yeah.
Okay. So that hurt some. But here's the point about Cam Newton. Number one, are we sure he's going to be the starting quarterback? We're not dead positive about that.
Yeah. And then at what point in time? I mean, he's the starting quarterback. You know, with 5-6 games left, that
okay. Or
out of the playoffs.
We've talked about this. Will he just have Cam packages, 10, 12 plays a game that he will run the way he runs them, and that Stid, as Belichick calls him, Jared Stidham, will be the starting quarterback and then he starts the game and finishes the game, that he'll play a majority of the snaps. Is that possible? Because by all accounts, Belichick still loves Jared Stidham. Did he acquire Cam on the cheap for only about $1 million base salary, only $550,000 guaranteed, just to sort of supplement what Stidham does as a first-year starter?
Yeah, well, Skip, anytime you get out of a long-term relationship, the first person you meet, you think you really love them. That's what normally happens. When you've been in a relationship for a long period of time, this is what I've been missing.
Called rebounding.
Yeah. Yep. So Jared Stidham just happened to be Coach Belichick, and Brady was married for 20 years, and he happened to be the first thing to come up after Brady left. So obviously, Coach Belichick thinks that's his boo. But Cam Newton.
Unless you think Cam is his new boo.
Cam is.
All right. Well, that's possible. So here's what's incredible about this statistic. Cam Newton is by far the youngest MVP ever to change teams.
Yeah.
He's only he just turned 31 on May the 11th.
Yeah.
Just 31.
Right.
Well, that's because he won the MVP when he was only 26 years old. Well, that's pretty great, right?
Yeah.
And Cam, by far, has played the fewest games of any of the MVPs to change teams because he's that much younger.
Right.
The next up the list on age, it goes from 31 Cam. The next is 35 Kenny Stabler, who went from, as you know, Oakland to the Oilers. Okay, he was 35. Then let's go 36 Peyton Manning. Then let's go 37 Joe Montana. Then let's go 38 Earl Morrall went to the Dolphins from Baltimore. And then how about let's go 40 Brett Favre. Of course, he had done 1 year with the Jets, but he went Green Bay Jets, and then at age 40 went to Minnesota.
Right.
Okay, so look how much older the 5 previous MVPs were than Cam.
Right.
And how much fresher Cam is than those.
Because they had played so many more years.
That's what I'm saying. But like Brett Favre had played 295 games at that point when he joined the Vikings, and Cam's played 132 games.
Right.
It's more than double. The other way. So I averaged the number of games that the 5 previous MVPs had played is 209 games to Cam's 132.
Right.
And Cam's age is 31. The average age of the other MVPs is 37. Yeah. So they're older guys on their last hurrah, their last stop.
Right.
Okay? Now let's look at their circumstances, shall we?
Right.
Let's go back to the first one, 1972, Earl Morrall. He'd been the MVP back in 68, okay, for Baltimore. He joined a team that had lost to my Cowboys in the previous Super Bowl. So do you have a pretty good shot? Well, guess what you did? You helped them go undefeated. Bob Greasy got hurt after 5 games, but then he came back in the playoffs. But you played a big chunk of games, and you were really good for them. Let's look at Kenny Stabler. What had he done? What had the Oilers done the year before? They were 11-5, and they got to the AFC Championship game in that Mike Renfro controversy game at Pittsburgh, in which he tiptoed across the back line and clearly caught it. It brought in, it detonated the cry for instant replay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had been within a controversial throw of getting to the previous Super Bowl.
Correct.
Okay, so you're you're pretty great,
Pretty good.
right? Okay. Then let's look at Joe Montana. The Chiefs the year before had been 10-6. They had lost in a wild card game to the Chargers, 17-0. So they weren't great. They had Dave Craig at quarterback, but still, they were 10-6. So you're inheriting a pretty good team.
Right.
Brett Favre's Vikings had been 10-6 with Gus Frerotte at quarterback, lost in a wild card game to the Eagles, but you were already okay. Then let's look at Peyton Manning. Tim Tebow had come out of nowhere at 1-4. That team was dead in the water with Kyle Orton at quarterback. Am I right? And he took it to the division title. They won the AFC West, and they beat Ben Roethlisberger in a home playoff game and advanced all the way to the division round. They got their clocks
ramshackled.
Yeah, they got bum rushed up in New England.
Yes.
But that was Tom Brady and company.
Well,
they did a number. They put them right back in their place. But Tebow was sensational that year. There were the makings. There was a good defense that got a lot better as the year started to go on. I will give you that. But at least the seeds were planted of, hey, we can do this.
And look how much better that defense got when they wasn't playing 100 snaps a game because you kept going 3 and out.
You can argue, but they had made the playoffs. So it's not like any of the 5 previous former MVPs had taken over a lousy football team.
Right.
Okay,
Are you trying to say the Patriots are lousy? Is that what you're trying to say?
I think they're below average. We just talked about the defense, and I'm going to remind you, that defense that you said was on a historical pace for the first 8 games of the year, on a fateful Sunday night at midseason, it went to Baltimore and ran into on the way to the MVP, Lamar Jackson, right?
Yes.
And the score was a wipeout. It was, 37-20, I believe, that night?
Jared Stidham must have started that game.
Okay, 37-20 that night. And from that point on, that team fell to 10th in points allowed in the NFL, which is not terrible.
Right.
But it wasn't the same. It wasn't a dominating defense. And it went all the way to the bitter end when it had the 2 seed in its lap, thanks to Tom Brady, because he had driven 60 yards for a touchdown that put them ahead with 3 minutes left, 24-20. So all you have to do is hold them out of the end zone. They can kick a field goal because it won't matter.
No.
And Ryan Fitzpatrick, against what was left of that defense that had gotten exposed over the last 8 games, drove his team 75 yards. I want people to let this sink in. 75 yards in 13 plays against Bill Belichick's defense in Foxborough with the 2 seed on the table. It's yours. All you have to do is keep Fitzmagic out of your end zone.
Well, Skip,
and guess what? On the last play of the game, he hits Mike Gesicki, 5-yard touchdown pass, and they lose 27-24, and they lost the 2 seed.
Well, Skip, it's easier when you know you have what you have to have. It's not a situation, and that's why you know to Skip, when let's just say in overtime, the team that scores a touchdown win. So I go down and I kick a field goal. Well, the team automatically knows. They keep going for it on 4th down. They keep going for it. They keep going for it. But see, Skip, the way I look at it like this. Good cooks. You know, Skip, I was growing up as a young boy. I remember going and looking in the kitchen. I'm like, Granny, we ain't got nothing to eat. Ain't nothing in here. Flour, lard, some syrup, and butter. Man, my grandma getting that kitchen.
That's
Water,
pretty good to me.
Flour bread. Me and my brother eating flour bread for days. You see what I'm saying, Skip Bayless?
Syrup?
Yeah. So you look at the kitchen as being bare, the cupboard as being bare. But old Coach Belichick being the great James Barry, the winner, he's been for like 3 years in a row making something out of nothing. Whipped up a good old dish. Go whip it up in 2022.
Okay, well, he better, because he's got nothing but, bread and water in the kitchen? He's got bread and water. He's got to make a meal out of bread and water.
Well, he got bread, and he got a wish sandwich.
So,
wish he had some meat in between it.
So his receivers right now are the immortal Julian Edelman, who came all apart last year, had shoulder surgery, led the league in drops at age 34. Looked like he kind of hit the physical wall because he is a physical possession receiver. And what he does, the routes that he runs, the underneath routes, which require pinpoint accuracy, is not Cam's cup of tea. It's not what he did the best. He can throw it. Mid-range and deep balls, he can just cook you, so to speak, if we're talking about cooking.
Yeah.
But the point is that that's his best receiver. And I guess Mohamed Sanu had ankle surgery, so maybe he'll bounce back, but he sure didn't look like Mohamed Sanu last year.
Hold on, time out. the guy that's been campaigning, Skip Bayless has been campaigning for Julian Edelman to get into the Hall of Fame the last 4 years, and now all of a sudden, what?
He hit the wall. I say what I see. I did not see that guy last year. I saw him building up to the Rams Super Bowl that they won in the fourth quarter thanks to Tom Brady's game-winning drive.
MVP.
Okay? Well, he was. And then what happened? He hit the physical wall. It happens when you take that much contact and you turn age 34. So that's your best option right now. And again, Demir Bird from the Cardinals and Marquise Lee from Jacksonville, are they going to change your life? I don't think so.
So you're saying the Patriots are not going to make the playoffs?
I think Buffalo is just clearly better, and I think Miami is on the rise, and I think the Jets will take their pound of flesh in that division thanks to their defense and their defensive coordinator.
Well, you do know they got the extra playoff game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that team, you mean extra playoff team?
You got an extra playoff. Yeah, extra playoff.
Okay.
A team's going to make it.
Yeah, I didn't even get to the tight ends. They had the worst productivity in the league last year, and they lost Benjamin Watson because he was 39 and he retired.
Didn't they draft 2 tight ends?
They drafted 2, and one of them named, let me look at his name here, Dalton Keene. He's trying to explain to me that he's the next Rob Gronkowski. So, young man, come on down.
The one from Bartek?
Yeah, that's what he says. He's mad at me because I didn't even say his name. So, Dalton Keene, you are the next Rob Gronkowski, and good luck to you, and good luck to Cam Newton.
Why he just can't be a good, solid tight end? Why he has to go all the way to the end of the...
I don't know, but he's going to be competing with the immortal Matt Lacoste, or there's Ryan Izzo. They're 2 of the all-timers. That's what's left in your cupboard at tight end. And I told you, I feel sorry for Cam Newton because I think they're going to play a lot of close games, and guess whose foot it will come down to? A 5th-round pick named Rohrwasser. That's who's going to be kicked. They cut Belichick cut Gostkowski, okay, and he drafted in the 5th round out of Marshall Rohrwasser. Justin Rohrwasser. Remember the name because he's going to sink or swim, man.
I'll never forget the name. The one that had the tattoo on his body that he didn't know what it represented. You know,
is that guy?
Yeah, that's him.
That was
that's him. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's him.
That's a good point.
He had a tattoo, didn't even know what it represented.
So he's off to a great start in New England, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's the guy that he could make or break Cam Newton next year.
But don't worry about it. You remember the show, TV show MacGyver?
Yeah, do I?
Coach Belichick. Watch how he make that thing work.
Yeah.
Watch how he make it work.
He's got all that. He can make anything.
Watch him. Then you gonna come in here every week. Why wouldn't he do that with Coach Belichick? Or Tom Brady? Why wouldn't the defense do a goal line stand for Tom Brady? They did one. Remember, he won the Super Bowl because the defense bowled its back.
I will end this discussion by reminding you the New England Patriots play the toughest schedule in the National Football League next year, and you and your man Cam are going to be in trouble. You have bet a lot of diet due now on Cam Newton, or mostly on Coach Belichick, against the toughest schedule in the league. Good luck with that.
No mercy.
14 of the 20 drivers in the Austrian Grand Prix took a knee to protest racial injustice before yesterday's Formula One race. Of the 6 that chose not to kneel, 2 of them took to social media to explain that their decision not to kneel does not mean that they are less committed than others in the fight against racism. So, Shannon, is this any indication of what you think we're going to see before NBA and NFL games?
Absolutely. And Skip, we've touched about this.
We have.
It's not going to be, it's not who's kneeling, but who isn't and why. I don't think these gentlemen should have had to offer an explanation why they didn't kneel. Because, Skip, I think sometimes what we're going to see people kneel that have no intentions of doing anything to further the cause. And then we're going to have some people standing that have intentions on helping the cause. I don't think they should be castigated. I don't think they should be, because that's what's going to happen, Skip. People are going to look at them. Why aren't you kneeling? You're not for the cause?
Yep.
Because there are going to be a lot of people that's going to be faking it because it's the right. It seems to be the climate is right for you to do that. And I don't care nothing about that. At the end of the day, I'm in the results business. And if it's going to lead to changes and how we do business moving forward, I'm all for that. And I commend the guys that kneel. We see a lot of guys in soccer. Skip, I think soccer is more closely related to the American sports because in Formula One, Skip, you're in the engine. You can't hear who's cheering, all that. That engine is so loud. But in soccer, the black players have had bananas. They'd had the sounds being of the monkeys and the apes going on in the stands, and to hear the racial epithets being hurled. So they really know what it's like. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen in Formula One. Lewis Hamilton is probably the most famous of the Formula One drivers. He's the best right now. But Skip, I don't.
He's the only black driver.
Right.
Yep.
So Skip, I don't think these guys should be scoffed or frowned upon. Like, man, they didn't kneel. What's going on? Why did they kneel? They should show support. Because I want you to be 100% authentic. I want that to be in your heart. And if you kneel, I want you to know why you're kneeling and you're willing to take steps to help that cause. And if not, stand, bro. I'm not looking at you any different.
Yeah, just a quick point of order. So Lewis Hamilton is not African-American. He's from England.
Right.
But
He's
again,
black, yeah.
But his mom's white British and his dad black British. Okay,
Correct,
so
yeah.
he's mixed from England, but still, this was a fascinating microcosm of projecting into what we're about to see.
Correct.
And I'm with you. It is going to cause big problems. Maybe not in the NBA as much as in the National Football League.
Correct.
But here we had 6 drivers. Again, this was Formula One. This was in Austria before the Austrian national anthem. But they did all the quote-unquote right things. They had "End Racism" written across the start-finish line. They sort of all came together just before the race started. And a bunch of them kneeled at the start-finish line, and 6 of them did not. Well, a number of the 6 had to take to social media after to defend themselves. I am not a racist. 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 And they all had different ideas about it. One said, I believe that what matters are facts and behaviors in our daily life rather than formal gestures that could be seen as controversial in some countries. Well, you're pretty much down with that because you say it doesn't really matter, you're not into formal gestures, right?
Nope.
Okay. But Twitter is, and IG is, and social media is into gestures, and they're going to say, aha, a racist. I was curious about the restart of what's called the National Women's Soccer League. And in their first restart game, the 2 teams came together, and a bunch of the women kneeled. And 4, 3 on one team and 1 on another, did not kneel. And one of them, named Rachel Hill, was attacked on social media. And what she did was she bowed her head and put her hand on the shoulder of a black teammate. So it's amazing how far we've come because just, 6 months ago, if that gesture would have seen as a nice sort of subtle way to support racial equality.
Skip, they want you all the way in, all the way out.
All the way. You can't just go halfway. And so now where we are, and I still say we're in a good place, at least a good start place, will not allow that.
No.
You have to go to your knee or not. And be ready to sort of withstand the consequences. And she got so upset that she wrote, she put a huge defense of herself up on Instagram because she was very hurt by the response she get. And you know how vicious social media can get.
That's why she responded.
So she was called, I'm sure, many racist terms. And what's the answer to this? Because this is just my gut reaction. We're going to talk in a few minutes about now each NBA player is allowed to have some sort of, you can choose from a list of your personal message in place of your name. It's just for the first 4 games that they play. And then thereafter, you can either put your name back on or you can continue to wear it. But for 4 games, you can choose to have a message across your back from the approved list, of which I'm not sure about that, but we're going to talk about it later. Okay? But the point is, I'm pretty sure Commissioner Silver, because they've had this rule in place preceding even Commissioner Stern, that you will stand for the national anthem. So I'm just going to guess that the NBA players will agree to stand. I am totally okay if they want to kneel. I would, in fact, encourage them to kneel. I just have a feeling that the NBA has been different from the start because they've all had their platforms and their voices. And they've been perceived as business partners with their owners. So they've had freedom of speech from the start and freedom of action from the start.
And Adam Silver from day one has never tried to suppress his player's voice.
Okay. But I do think he would like to uniformly stand for the anthem. We'll see how that plays out.
And I think, Skip, and remember, we talked about that, Skip, and I think that's the thing. He's like, okay, talk to Michelle Roberts, who's head of the PA, Chris Paul, and some of the other execs. Guys, can we do this in unison? Either we all stand or we all kneel.
Okay.
Because it's not going to look good. Optics is everything. That was a word back in optics. It's not going to look good if we got 8 guys standing and 4 guys kneeling, or if we got 11 guys standing and 2-3 guys kneeling. That's not going to look good. So can we come to some kind of uniformity, what we're going to do and how we're going to proceed with this?
Okay. I'm not sure the NFL knows that term uniformity. The owners do, but I'm not sure the players do at this point.
They don't.
So I'm pretty sure a lot of the players want to kneel. I'm also pretty sure there's going to be a certain segment of players who don't want to kneel.
And see, and also you got to be careful, Skip. Okay, they play the black national anthem. All the black players stand. Then they play the regular national anthem. The black players take a knee. Then what are you done? Oh, you can stand for that one, but you can't stand for this one. See?
You've got double jeopardy.
Right. So that's why I'm saying, I just don't know the good, because I don't recall hearing any player that when they were asking what they wanted the NFL to do, I don't know if any of them mentioned playing the black. First of all, it's not an anthem. It got called an anthem. It's actually a hymn. It's a hymn.
Lift every voice.
Right. Yep. So for me, Skip, I don't remember. It'd be interesting, like, who asked for that? Stop giving us things we did. You give us everything. It's like, I go to a restaurant and I order something. Instead of you telling me you don't have it, you bring me out everything I didn't ask for. Bro, where's my dish that I asked for? And then at the end of the day, Skip, you tell me, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Sharp, we don't have that anymore. You could have told me that from the beginning. Either you're going to help me do this or you're not. These empty and symbolic gestures does nothing for me.
I hear you, but remember, Jay-Z is now an advisor to the Commissioner Goodell. Okay. Is it possible Jay-Z or even Beyonce suggested, because Beyonce has sung that song?
Well, Kurt Franklin did a rendition of it the other day. That's unbelievable.
Okay, it's a powerful song.
Right.
So somebody suggested to Commissioner Goodell, maybe this is a great way to start our season with this. I told you, I don't want to see just a start. Then play it for every game through the regular season. And I have told you, the one thing I love about kneeling is it jogs my memory. It always brings me right back to Black Lives Matter. It keeps the conversation aflame. It keeps it all top of mind. So I love it because it makes me think of Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed and what they went through in 2016. So I get it's symbolic, but it's also powerful. It also has now become the symbol that started the new movement of Black Lives Matter.
But Skip, black folk been singing and praying for 401 years with very minimal progress. And to Skip, that playing of the black national anthem, since we're dealing with football, and you can attest to this, the NFL just ran a play for no yards. It's the equivalent of what the Cowboys do on first down when they hand the ball to Zeke and he run into the line and get nothing, and you like, God dang it, it's 2nd and 10. That's what that is. That was a symbolic gesture that did absolutely nothing. They didn't advance the ball.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so bottom line, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
If a team asked you, if the commissioner called and said, Shannon, what should we do about kneeling? What would you say? I don't care what you do?
Yeah, I don't think, because now, because it's looked at differently than it was in 16, 17, 18, and 19, Skip, you're gonna have probably 20, 30 guys per team kneeling every week.
And you're going to have a few, I assume.
Oh, absolutely.
Who just, for whatever, they can. Does it mean they're racist? Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to read that into it.
And that was the thing. I was having a conversation, and I'm saying, unfortunately, the people it's going to be looked at now, the people that didn't kneel, is going to be looked at with a funny eye. Because they're like, okay, so what's going on? Why are you not? You see your brother. I thought you were a team. I thought we did everything to Skip. I thought we did everything together. Because you hear that all the time. We're family. We're brotherhood. Okay.
It's going to be incumbent upon the black leaders of every team, if not of the whole league, to sort of come together and make a statement about this of we all want to kneel or we don't need to kneel, whatever.
I'm looking for CD quarterback. I'm talking about some of these prominent quarterbacks. I'm talking about the Bradys. I'm talking about the Breezes. I'm talking about the Rodgers. I'm looking for some. I'm going to see what they're going to do. Because that's what people are looking for, Skip. Because they know Russell Wilson's probably going to kneel. I mean, there's certain guys, Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes, we're looking at them other ones. And then people are like, well, see, I told you, I knew it.
Well,
but I'm not going to judge it like that.
That's where we're
That's
heading.
what we headed, Skip. I'm sorry.
No mercy.
DallasCowboys.com ranked Dak Prescott against the quarterbacks he'll face in 2020. Coming in at number 1 is Russell Wilson, followed by Lamar Jackson. Dak was ranked 3rd, while Matt Ryan came in at number 4 and Carson Wentz at number 5. Shannon, where would you rank Dak?
5. Got him too high. They got him too high. And that's because he ain't playing the other guys. He ain't playing the big guns like Drew Brees because he'd be down further. He'd be 6. And my homeboy, that'll push him at 7. They play Aaron Rodgers, that'll push him at 8. So he'd be on down there if you play some other quarterback. Skip, right now, the only guy I got him better on the list than Big Ben. I mean, obviously he's better than some of these other guys. But Big Ben, and that's because I don't know what Big Ben I'm going to get after elbow surgery.
But just on legacy, I think I'd give Ben that.
No. I ain't no legacy. Legacy don't win you no games now. I'm talking about what you're gonna be able to do on the field. Now, my guy, I'm taking Matty Ice over. Since you talk about legacy, but I'm taking Matty Ice. He had 4,400 yards last year. He's been a former MVP. But just based on that, moving forward, I would take Matt Ryan and walk it to him. You saw what he did last year. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, in 2020, this is what I'm going to do for old Dak Prescott. Since you like him so much, I'm going to take away Gallup, I'm going to take away Cooper, and I'm going to take away C.D. Lamb. And I'm also going to have Ty Smith miss a few games, and I'm going to have Lyle Collins miss a few games. And I'm going to see if he can get that team to win that division.
Really?
That's what my guy did last year.
Well, I can tell you this. If my guy won the division, he wouldn't get concussed after one throw in the first playoff game he's ever played in. My guy doesn't get hurt.
Your guy was in Jerry's world watching us play on the Jumbotron. Because that seems to be the only thing it's good for.
Yeah,
you notice?
When it's time for my guy to play, he actually plays the whole game because he doesn't get hurt.
Whoa. He played the whole game against us the last game, or the second to the last game of the season.
Well, he did have a banged-up shoulder.
Don't do that, Skip Day.
He played. He sucked it up.
How did he play?
Awful.
Oh, so he should have just sat out there. Because remember I told you, I said, Skip, his shoulder hurt. No, my guy's a warrior. He's going to suck it up and play.
He practiced 0 that week.
Well, I don't know.
0.
This is what I know. I saw Carson Wentz throw for 4,000 yards, and not one of his receivers, I'm not talking to tight end, I'm talking about the guys that play outside the numbers on a consistent basis. None of them had 500 or more yards receiving. He's the first quarterback in the 100-year history. Skip, you know they've been playing football for 100 years, and nobody had ever done what Carson Wentz did last year. He did that. So just imagine. So how many games do you think the Cowboys would win if I took Gallup, I took Coop, I took C.D. Lamb, and his 2 tackles out for, let's just say, Lyle Collins misses 5-6 games, and Ty Smith misses 2 to 3 games. How many games you think
We still got Blake Jarwin, who I call Shannon Jarwin, because he can light you up in Hall of Fame fashion.
Okay. So we kept him because we had Ertz. But I'm talking about the wide receiver. You love, Amari, you love Gallup. And C.D., this is why Dak is favored for the MVP third, because of C.D. Lamb.
What Tony Pollard does best, actually, is catch it more than run it. We could put him in the slot, we'd be okay.
Remember, we tried him on 4th down, and what happened?
Yep.
What happened? Why wasn't Zeke?
He wasn't warmed up. Yeah, where was he? I'm gassed. I just had a 30-yard run, and I can't do it anymore. Man. You make $90 million a year to be in shit. You got to take it home.
Well, he had 30. He had 30.
I'm gassed. I'm out. Coach, Coach, come get me.
He had $30 million in his bag. He had a ball in one hand and $30 million in a bag on his other.
He was dragging the bag.
It was heavy, yes.
Yeah, that bag is heavy. $90 million is a lot to drag down the field for 30 yards.
Yeah.
That's all you got in you for that game. You got to go wait until the next game. All right, so here's my biggest takeaway about this question. This is what the one part that I love about this question that you were alluding to, but you didn't drive it home with a conclusion.
What happened?
The Dallas Cowboys play the 3rd easiest schedule in the league this year based on last year's one-loss record.
Yeah.
So New England plays the 1st hardest schedule based on last year's one-loss records, and the Dallas Cowboys play the 3rd easiest schedule. And the reason that just hit me right between the eyes last night is what you said. I'm looking and I say, oh, there's no Tom Brady on this list. Wait, there's no Breeze. There's no Mahomes. Well, oh, wait, there's no Rodgers. There's no Deshaun.
No.
Well, what a great schedule is this, right?
But you'll find a way to lose.
You avoid 5 of the best quarterbacks in the league. And what have we seen with Dak on the roller coaster ride? Rookie year, offensive rookie of the year, 13-3. Here we come with a week off before a playoff game, and he puts up 30 on Aaron Rodgers and company. Remember that?
I do.
31, I guess it was. He brought him all the way back to 31 all. Threw for 305 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was a big game. That was a great way to start as a rookie quarterback.
Skip.
But then what happened in the second year? The roller coaster went down like this. He lost Zeke for 6 games. He played pretty awfully, pretty terrible.
Okay.
And then, whoop, here we go up again into 2018, and we win the division. Here we go, and he beats Russell Wilson head-to-head in a playoff game at Jerry World. And he played well enough to win out here against Jared Goff until my defense let Jared Goff run for like 20 yards on 3rd and 9. I don't know what it was. It was just awful. So the point is, the roller coaster dipped down again last year, and Dak got off to a nice start against garbage teams, and then he didn't play very well. Okay? So the roller coaster is about to swoop back up to the top again in 2020.
Oh, so
this is Dak's year. Every other year, Dak Prescott.
So the even number years, your guy does well.
Even
16, 18, 20.
Yep, we're going to get even for last year.
Okay.
And Carson Wentz is going to be riding in the back seat in the NFC East because he is in the back seat.
Catbird.
He is not as good as Dak Prescott. Nobody thinks that except you.
No, they don't.
I give you that he finished with a flourish last year by beating the Redskins and the Giants twice. The last 3 games go Giants, Redskins, Giants. Really? Garbage, more garbage.
This thing, at one point in time, with like 5 games to go, you guys had a 3-game lead.
Yep.
Win 1 game, and you the division champs. 1. And you keep talking about Dak was down 21-3, and he brought them all the way back. Look, I'm not giving a guy credit. If you get me lost, I'm lost for 3-4 days, and all of a sudden you bring me back to safety. I'm not giving you no credit. You got me lost to begin with. Dak was the reason they were behind 21-3.
That might be Ezekiel Elliott, the $90 million man. Second most carries on first down in the entire league last year. 18th in yards per carry on first down last year. Second most carries, 18th in yards per carry. What would that tell you? What you just told me. It's 2nd and 10, it's 2nd and 11, it's 2nd and 12, it's 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11.
Yeah.
It's just hard when you're playing behind the chains. But my guy is a warrior. My guy will keep fighting you and keep scratching you and clawing you all the way home. And he did put up a lot of empty calorie kind of yards, but he almost got him back in the Green Bay game.
Dak is that kid that fight every day and get beat up. But you say, ain't nobody pushing him over, though. Skip.
Yeah, but he shows up at school the next day.
Yeah,
and he'll fight you again.
And they take a lunch money. Skip, look at your guys' numbers when the game was within a score. Look at your guys' number when they're tied. And look at the game when they're down 14, when they're down 21, when they're down 17.
Yep.
He's throwing the ball all over the field. But when we need it, what did he do?
Well, at least he didn't quit.
No.
Right?
Skip, stop saying that.
Well, seriously, he came back, that Brett the Fret Maher that they got rid of.
Oh, no.
He cost them at least 3 games last year, but he just missed a chip shot field goal that would have at least forced an onside kick at the end of the Green Bay game. At least we would have come that far back. We're down 31-3, and we get within an onside.
And why were you down 31-3? If you don't mind me asking, who was the quarterback during the process in which you trailed 31-3? Can you tell me the quarterback's name?
He didn't get off to much of a start, but my defense got off to a worse start.
Hold on, okay.
Because the real MVP in Green Bay last year was not that. It wasn't Aaron Rodgers. It was the other one.
The thing that I love about football,
Aaron Jones.
The thing that I love about football that's not like a one-on-one pickup basketball is that there's no make it, take it. See, if I score a touchdown, I have to kick the ball off to the opponent. Okay, so Green Bay scored 7-0. Boop, kick the ball off to the Cowboys. Cowboys, what you do with it? Nothing. We get the ball back, 14-0. Guess what we got to do, Skip? Kick it back to you. So at one point in time, you're down, what, 31-3, Skip? 31-3.
I want to remind everyone watching us right now, a whole lot of people are watching us, and I want to remind every one of them that the man sitting across from me, now telling me how awful Dak Prescott was last year, he is campaigning for him to get $40+ million a year, and he's showing you what a fraud his campaign is, because the only reason he wants him to get $40 million is because he doesn't like him, and he hates my Cowboys. No, you don't.
I like Dak. I don't like your Cowboys.
Okay, you don't like him as a player. You don't like him as a quarterback. You think he's a decent guy.
No, I think
the point is, you want him to get overpaid because you want him to wreck our salary cap for the next 5 years and set you up in the catbird seat across.
Well, I got walking to and win, so I'm already in the catbird seat, so I don't need any more.
Really?
But here's the thing.
Well, how many games is he going to play a year? Like 4? I don't know.
All I know he's going to win.
Hurt?
All I know he's going to win.
Really?
He's going to win.
Okay.
Skip, here's the thing, though. But when Dak kept you guys, when Dak was taking up 0.5% or 1.4% of your cap, what were you doing then?
Well, he had a bad year last year. I've told you that.
Oh, he had a bad year.
What have I told you consistently? I say I rank him 10th, which is still top 10. He's at the bottom of the top 10, which is pretty good. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks he's not playing against.
He better than Kyler?
I've got Kyler right on his tail at 11, and he's coming, and he might surpass him very quickly because I think Kyler is ready for a big breakout, breakthrough year.
The guy there will be, I love this guy. You hear that, Dak?
Do you hear that, Jerry? Shannon Sharp just made the case that Dak is not even top 15.
But not
even top 15.
No, this ain't top 15. But Dak, hold on.
Well, you just listed off at least 14 quarterbacks ahead of him.
Skip, he's in the teens. 13, 14.
Okay, so
like
would you make him by far the highest paid player?
Yeah.
No, you would not. You wouldn't.
That's what happens.
Jerry's willing to make him slightly the highest paid player right now, but that's not going to eclipse what Mahomes or Deshaun will get.
Skip, you can't worry about what the Mahomes boy get because Mahomes boy. See, Clark Hunt just going there with a blank check. He going there with a blank check on Mahomes boy. Whatever you want. Put as many zeros as you want in that thing.
He already got a trophy.
Quarter of a bill. That's what it's going to cost you to get Mahomes boy.
Okay.
Quarter bill.
Okay, fine. I think you just made my case, and I appreciate that.
It's going to cost you $175.
Yeah.
No mercy.
The 2020 baseball season will begin on Friday, July 24th, with MLB on Fox returning on July 25th with Fox Saturday Baseball, and we could not be more excited. Baseball is back. And, of course, America's home for baseball this summer, as always, will be on Fox and FS1. An NBA rumor has made the rounds of late, linking Gregg Popovich to the Nets. And GM Sean Marks responded to these rumors, saying, quote, Pop has a job, so I will say that. And obviously, we all know he's an amazing, amazing coach. And to be quite frank, an even better leader. So, Shannon, would Pop be a good fit for KD and Kyrie?
No, I don't believe so. Skip, Coach Pop has his ways. And I know, he's going to coach the Olympic team and Coach K coaching the Olympic team, and there have been some coaches that coach the Olympic team, but that's one thing. To have to be on the grind day-to-day with these guys, Skip, and, everybody thought Jerry Sloan was going to do a great job with Darren Williams, and he ended up retiring, rest his soul. So, Skip, no, I don't think so. I think Pop is used to coaching guys. He coached Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is one of the 3 or 4. Obviously, he's the greatest power forward ever lived, but I believe Tim Duncan is the top 5, top 6 player in NBA history, unassuming. David Robinson, unassuming. Kawhi, unassuming. Manu. So he's not used to having these guys. These guys kind of get into their feelings. They get stubborn. And I don't know. And I just don't see Coach Pop leaving. I can't see Coach Auerbach coaching someone else other than the Celtics. I can't see Coach K. Now that he's with Bennett Duke, Skip, can you imagine Coach K coaching anywhere else for any amount of money? I can't. Same thing I see with Pop. No, but I don't think that'll be a good fit. I think Kyrie and KD probably would be better served if they got someone like a Ty Lue, someone that can manage those guys' egos and because I just don't see Coach Pop as the fit for these two guys.
Completely agree. I remind you, Sean Marks is the GM of the Nets, and he played for Coach Popovich and then came up through the Spurs front office and became the number 1 assistant to R.C. Buford, who I still consider the best GM in basketball. So, I am with you on this count. I believe that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would last about 2 weeks with Gregg Popovich, especially at this stage and age of their careers and his career.
Yes.
These are 2 of the thinnest-skinned superstars who ever came down the pike. They are also 2 of the most talented players we have ever seen in this league in different ways.
Right.
They have now united. They have joined forces. So you have 2 of them together, and they love each other. They are besties. But you're going to have to convince both of them, and Gregg Popovich is absolutely their worst-case scenario and maybe their worst nightmare. I just don't think it would begin to work, and I agree with you. Ty Lue is by far the best fit. He's an even better fit than Jacques Vaughn, who's now the interim coach, and who Woj said the other day is the odds-on favorite to win the job. And Jacques Vaughn coached for 3 years as head coach in Orlando, and he's 58 and 158. I'm just not sure you could sell that going forward to KD and Kyrie. Sean Marks said the first two people he's going to talk to is... You better.
Yeah.
You better.
Yeah.
So let's look at Gregg Popovich. Obviously, I'm a longtime Spurs fan. I've never been the biggest Gregg Popovich fan. He's the one coach who still gets away with coaching like he's a college coach, the way Coach Izzo does at Michigan State, where you're the king of your kingdom, and you can just say, you can go off on players, and they just accept it because that's just Coach Izzo. That's just the way he is. Well, Coach Pop is the oldest school my way or the highway coach left in this league.
He is.
And he is the combination good cop, bad cop who leans more toward bad cop behind the scenes.
Right.
And again, he is scathing in his criticism of President Trump, which is fine, but then he turns right around and he can be scathing in his verbal abuse of the media.
Yeah.
He is even worse than Trump is in press conferences in which he berates and humiliates reporters for asking what I consider valid and obvious acceptable questions.
Skip, I don't even know why they talk to him at the start of a quarter or something like that. Why you even talk to him? You already know you're not going to get anything.
All right, so that's the man who motivates and criticizes with heavy sarcasm. He had Tim Duncan for years. He said publicly time and time again, when that man walks out the door into the sunset, I will be walking right behind him.
Right.
Guess what? That was 4 years ago.
But he brought it back. He said, come on, Tim. I can't do this without
I'll let you sit beside me.
Yeah, come on, Timmy.
Okay? But he was talking about when Tim quit as a player. Well, he was Belichick to Tim Duncan's Brady.
Right.
And so Belichick had Brady in the locker room to say, hey, it's okay. This guy's a little crazy, but we'll win if just swallow it, all the sarcasm, all the heavy criticism that you're going to take in film sessions on the practice field. Just accept it because we're going to win in spite of it. Okay? Well, that's the way the Spurs were. Tim Duncan was the leader of that team. He didn't say anything. He didn't need any shine. He didn't need it. He was not on social media.
No.
He had no ego that I could see.
No.
But he told everyone, this is my guy.
Right.
And I think Tim's, by nature, behind the scenes, he also had kind of a sarcastic wit about him.
He does.
And so he enjoyed trading little barbs with Coach Popovich in a good way.
Right.
That kept the locker room healthy enough that they could win championships.
You hit the nail on the head. Because Tim Duncan allowed Pop to coach him, everybody else had no choice but to fall in line. Because Tom Brady let Belichick coach him,
he did.
Everybody else had no choice but to fall in line. And that's what you have to have happen. You have to have your greatest players, your best players, be coached, then everybody else will fall in line. But if they start bucking, then everybody else start there, well, he ain't listening. I ain't they're not looking at, well, I'm not on that level. They're just looking at, well, if he being disrespectful, he's not listening, why should I have to listen?
Okay, so in 16-17, the first year with no Tim Duncan, it was up to Kawhi Leonard to rise into that leadership role and become the star of the team. And he pretty much accepted that role for about a year.
Right.
And they got all the way to game one in the conference final at Oakland.
Right.
And they had it in the bag. They were up, what was it, 23 in the third quarter, and Zaza Pacheep shot happened. Remember that?
Yeah.
He sticks his big size 30 shoe or whatever it was, his clown shoe underneath Kawhi, and he turns his ankle.
Well, Pop made the mistake. Because Pop made the mistake and thought he could coach Kawhi like he did Duncan.
I agree. But for 1 year, it was okay.
Yes.
It was, so they end up getting swept by Golden State with no Kawhi.
It was fine, Skip, until the injury. Like, Duncan might have an injury, and Pop would go by and say, Duncan, you faking because you scared of Shaq. Ain't nothing wrong with you.
Right.
But you couldn't do that with Kawhi. And see, I think that's the mistake. That's what you have to know, Skip. That's how you have to navigate certain players. You could joke with Tim Duncan. You just want a night off.
So then what happened the next year? Kawhi said, no, I've had enough.
Exactly.
I can't take it anymore.
Right.
I want out. I'll do anything to get out of here.
Right.
And that team lost to the Warriors in 5 in the first round. No real shame there. But then here we went last year, and I thought Pop actually did one of his better coaching jobs. They managed to get to the first round and lose in 7 to the Nuggets, but they took them to the bitter end at Denver in Game 7. Not bad. This year, they're 27-36. And they're 4 games out of the 8th seed. They're still going to get to go to Orlando, but they've lost LaMarcus Aldridge to shoulder surgery. Right. So I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
They're going to make a deep run. And that was the difference, Skip, because although Coach Tim Duncan knew Pop was joking with him, Kawhi thought, he was like, this man is challenging my manhood. He doesn't believe that I'm actually injured. So that's why you have to know who you're dealing with and how to deal with certain guys, and that's the really good coaches. But that's Pop's style. And at 24 years in, as old as he is, can he change that style?
71 years old.
Yeah,
so do you want to start over in Brooklyn? Because you don't want to just go there for a year or two. When you want to make it 5 years?
Right, and the thing is, Kyrie's been nicked a lot.
He has.
So with that type of sarcasm, oh, you nicked again. How would that play with Kyrie?
Hey, Kevin Durant, as much as I love him, he was on Twitter all weekend.
Oh, you beefing.
Just beefing with everybody, with nobodies, right? Anybody takes a shot, he's going to shoot back.
He's going to fire back.
Okay, so if Gregg Popovich dared to make some sarcastic comment, you're going to make a shot today again? You know, like something, even in practice, you're going to make a shot?
Right.
Well,
you out again?
Yeah.
Hey. I guess we got to cancel practice today. KD not playing. Not practicing.
There we go. Yep. Okay.
No mercy.
On July 12th, NASCAR Cup Series action takes off from Kentucky Speedway at 2:30 Eastern on FS1. Then for the first time ever on July 15th, the NASCAR All-Star Race takes on the short track Bristol Motor Speedway. See all your favorite drivers in action beginning at 8:30 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Manager Terry Francona believes it's time for the Cleveland Indians to change their nickname. The team removed their controversial Chief Wahoo logo from its game jerseys and caps last year. And now when talking about the nickname, Francona says, quote, I think it's time to move forward. Shannon, should this nickname be changed?
I feel the same, Skip. And like I said, I don't really know. Obviously, that's not what they call themselves. They got the term because when Columbus landed, he thought it was somewhere where he wasn't. And so he just turned like indigenous India. Oh, we're going to call them that. So I don't know if that's how they view themselves. I think they say they're native because they were indigenous to this area of America, so Native Americans. But Skip, for me, I think having a team mascot after a group of people is seen as disrespectful, especially in today's time. It does not have anything about being a snowflake or being told, PC. Just move on. It's okay, Skip. Obviously, Chief Wahoo's been very disrespectful for the longest time. And I think sometimes, Skip, when you look at it and have a name of this, it puts them in a situation where they feel like they're less than. They don't look at the same level. It's like nobody else get a race of people or a group of people get to be a logo or be placed at the tail of a team's name. Why should we? Move on. I mean, it's not a big deal, Skip. It's nothing changed. I mean, they've changed basketball name. Skip, do people realize, like, the Oilers, the Titans used to be the Oilers? They changed the name.
Yeah.
Wow, who knew that? The Pelicans were one time, the Bobcats were one time, the Hornets. Skip, who knew that? And guess what? They still play. And still people buy the paraphernalia. It's okay to change a name. Are you that attached to the name or the team? So for me, Skip, I agree with Terry Francona. I mean, I think the thing is now that, Skip, we're in a time now when you know better, shouldn't you do better? And I'm not, even then that was wrong, but it was accepted. I mean, what could they do? And I just think the right thing to do is to go ahead, and I know we're going down a very slippery slope, Skip, because they said, okay, do we do that with the Braves? Do we do it with the Chiefs? Skip, I'm not here to debate. Whatever they say. If they say we want that gone, if that population of people say we want to no longer be affiliated with team sports where you use us, I'm good.
I am so with Terry Francona, and I agree that he says, I think it's time to move forward. They need to move forward with a new nickname.
Yeah.
So I'm going to walk back through everything you just said and amplify. Columbus, quote unquote, discovered America, but he didn't think it was America. He was so off course that he thought it was the East Indies, as in Southeast Asia. I think I'm in Southeast Asia, so these must be Indians, as in people from the India region, right? The East Indies.
Right.
No, you're in America, pal. You know, you're way off course.
Right.
So he names our Native Americans something they don't want to be called because it's actually a term from the country of India, which you call Indians, obviously. Right. Well, they're not from India. They were here first.
Right.
They were native to this land.
Right.
So they did not want to be called Indians, and it stuck.
Right.
Because Columbus, he mistakenly called them Indians.
Right.
Is that fair? So after a while, we had to get all the way to into the 20th century finally that the quote-unquote Indians said, no, we are Native Americans, and we would like to be called that.
Correct.
Okay? So that's point number one. Point number two, Stanford University, for the longest time, from 1930 all the way to 1972, had a nickname of the Indians. And a lot of Native Americans at Stanford did not like it. Now, they did have an actual mascot that they called Prince Lightfoot, who would perform at athletic contests like the pregame, halftime, whatever. And the Native American students rose up in 1970 and said, you are making a mockery of Indian religious practices.
Correct.
And then more Native American students went all the way to the president of the university and said that you're showing blatant insensitivity to Native Americans. And the president of Stanford finally said, we have to change. They also had a logo. They had an emblem of the sort of a profile of an Indian chief. And it was a little bit of a caricature, just like, not quite as bad as Chief Wahoo, but it was in the ballpark, so to speak. And Stanford said, enough. And in 1972, they became the Cardinal, right? They took down the Indian nickname. That was a long time ago.
And guess
that
what?
was 48 years ago. Or am I doing my math right?
Skip, did Stanford lose any prestige in the standards of higher education? Do they still play sports?
And I believe there were a couple of movements in the next 10 years to bring the name back, like it's a name intended to honor. And the people in charge said, nope, it's not. We're not going to bring it back.
The thing, and what I tell people about intentions, it's kind of like a professor when I was in my criminal justice class, and he asked me what's the difference between manslaughter and murder. And he said it's intent. But intent only matters to the person that's being charged. The victim is just as dead. Intent only matters to you. They still just as offended. No matter what your intentions are, they're still equally as offended by that word.
So all the way until just a year ago, the Cleveland Indians had a logo called Chief Wahoo that was the all-time pathetic, racist stereotype. It revealed the mindset of the club behind the nickname Indians, right? Okay, so let's go back to the early part of the 20th century when the nickname Indians came into being. They had been called, the Cleveland baseball team had been called several different names, but they were in the habit of calling the team the nickname of the best player. So this is way before your time, but the biggest rival of Ty Cobb back in the early part of the 20th century, and Ty Cobb, we all know who, most people know who Ty Cobb is for the wrong reasons, right? But in this case, it was Napoleon LaJoie.
Nap LaJoie.
Okay, Nap LaJoie. So what did they name the team while he was the star? They called him the Naps. Well, that's not a great name because you take a nap, you know, like it's not the most inspiring name, but he was their star, and then he was their player manager for a while. So they were the Naps. But then he retired, and it's like, okay, they asked the sports writers, what's our next nickname? And they said, well, probably your best player right now is named Louis Sockalexis, who was Native American from a tribe in Maine, and his grandfather was the chief of that tribe. So he was going to be the best player. So the sports writers said, how about let's be the Indians in honor of him, right? Because he might be our best player next year. Let's go that direction. Well, okay, you could get away with that then, but I think we've been enlightened to the plight of the Native Americans in this country who did not want to be called Indians.
Skip, and you know Wahoo is that actual, Wahoo McDaniel actually played for the Denver Broncos in the 60s.
Okay.
And so that is an actual person.
Okay.
But I don't get, I mean, Skip, we're in 2020, and we still having conversations. Oh, but, you know, that was back in then. Okay, change it. Times change. People change all the time.
Okay. And again, I don't think most Native Americans want to be called that. I do see on the internet occasionally where they call themselves were from Indian country.
Right.
But what is that the equivalent of? What did your people do with the N-word?
They
changed it.
Yeah. The toxicity.
They took the ER, they drained the poison right out of it, and they made it a term of endearment with an A on the end of it, okay? So, again, if Native Americans want to refer to themselves that way, that's great by me,
Skip,
okay?
and that's always been the case. We've always had groups of people, race of people, that refer to themselves within their race as certain things.
Yep.
We see gay people call each other derogatory names that I would never even think of.
Got it.
That's cool. Who am I to? Don't you call him that? How dare you call him that?
There you go.
And we see women. Oh, hey, B, how you do? That ain't got nothing to do with me.
Nope.
Hey, I'm cool with it. That's what y'all want to...
White people, you cannot use that word in any way, shape, or form.
But Skip, if you invent something, shouldn't you have ownership of it? Shouldn't you have use of that anytime you want to? That's how they feel. That's why they want to let it go.
Thank you.
Leave that alone. I'm good with it, Skip. You call, whatever you want to call yourself within your demographic, have at it.
All right, we are moving on to the NBA, and in an effort to help players fight against police brutality and social injustice, the NBA is allowing them to replace the names on the back of their jerseys with a list of approved social messages. The players are not using the names of those who have died in police custody out of concern for offending those whose names were not used. So, Shannon, are you okay with this approved list of messages?
Skip, I'm okay with it. And I agree, you have to have a list. You have to have some standard, Skip, because like Ja tweeted, you might get somebody to say F the police or forget 112 or pigs, put pigs on the back of the jersey. And so, Skip, you know, I get what the NBA is trying to do. But for me, it's just another symbolic gesture, Skip. That's what that is. I mean, I don't really know how closer that gets us to our end goal. Because at the end of the day, Skip, it's all about advancing the ball. If we're running plays and we get negative yards or we're just getting back to the line of scrimmage, what have you done? If you shoot 50 shots and you don't make any of them, what have you done? Man, I took 50 shots, okay, but you didn't make anything. How much closer to our ultimate goal is this going to get? Skip is not. The NBA is, you know, they're trying. I believe they're trying, and you know, they've always, with the hoodies and I can breathe. I can't imagine. It'd be very interesting to see. Because for the longest time, you know, Skip, we had, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we had salute to the military. We had camouflage, Skip. I mean, but Skip, for me, this is empty gestures. I'm done with all that stuff.
Okay, I hear you. But I'm going to take it at face value. And my first thought when I read about this list of approved nicknames, or not nicknames, but slogans or messages, it hit me the wrong way because I thought, the players still should have some freedom of creativity to try to express what they want to express and then get that approved or rejected.
Right.
Like you said, you can't go to F the police.
Right.
But the first problem was they didn't want names of victims because if you use some of the names and not all the names, that's not fair.
Right.
And you'd also have to go to the families maybe to get approval to use that victim's name in the first place.
Yes.
Okay, so I get no names of victims because it's a slippery slope. We just can't go.
Because you got too many names. You ain't got enough players.
You don't have enough players. You don't have enough. Their backs aren't big enough.
Exactly.
Okay, so we get that. But I wanted some freedom of expression because they said, okay, here's your list, and you can choose a couple of these. You can have a first choice and a second choice. But they also said you don't have to wear a message on your back.
Right.
And if you don't wear a message on your back, you'll just have your name on the back. Well, now we got a kneeling controversy.
Took the word right. Yeah,
right?
That's it.
Well, that's no good.
Right.
Right? I thought they were all in unison about this, right?
Man.
You can't. Now we're on another slippery slope where some players, if they don't like any of these expressions, they don't want this message sent. But I don't like any of these.
I mean, because Skip, this is not like, Skip, you remember a couple of years ago, the NBA had a situation where they allow you to put your nickname on the back.
Yeah.
You know, had Jesus Shuttleworth, and you had the King, you had the Truth, and the Big Ticket, and all that stuff. Okay, guys didn't have a nickname. Okay, fine. And then you had guys make, I'm like, who called you that? Ain't nobody ever called you that. But in this situation, Skip, you got your regular name on the back, so you ain't for no cause, huh? You don't want no change. Nothing, everything is good with you in America. Skip, that's what that's where we going, Skip.
Well, it seems like we now we got another kneeling type controversy on the horizon in the bubble.
I mean, some of this, Skip, I've never heard group economics. I mean, there's some things I've never heard. But like I said, I don't have a problem with it, Skip, but these are gestures. These are gestures.
No, I got that. But they're going to be prominent gestures, right?
If it lead to change. You know, Dr. King, Skip, I mean, you got to think about it, Skip. What we're asking for in 2020, Dr. King was asking for in the 50s and the 60s.
I got it.
The exact same thing. Skip, he said the police brutality. He spoke specifically about police brutality.
Yeah, obviously.
He spoke specifically about the wealth gap between the blacks and the whites in America, and it's growing.
Okay, but for what it's worth, the white community was mostly not listening to Dr. King. The white community is mostly listening right now. To what extent? To what extent will change actually come into being?
Check back with me on November 4th.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to see if they listening.
Yeah.
I'm going to see.
No mercy.
Well, it's official. UFC 251 has a new main event. After clearing many logistical hurdles over the weekend, Jorge Masvidal will step in on less than a week's notice to face welterweight champion Kamaru Usman. Now, both headliners will be flying on separate private flights to Abu Dhabi today and will face off Saturday night from Fight Island. Skip, we're going to start with you on this one. Are you surprised that this was thrown together on such late notice?
I am shocked. This is why I love Dana White and why I love UFC, because there is no way the sport of boxing could have ever thrown this together on this short of notice. Dana White not only gets stuff done, he can fan the hype flames like nobody can, and watch, in 5 days, he will build a pay-per-view audience for this fight.
Right.
Obviously, to me, this is the fight most of the fans wanted in the first place.
Correct.
But Gilbert Burns had gotten hot. He had won his last four. He was, as Dana said, he was just on fire. And he was on such fire that it was hard to deny him the Usman fight first.
Right.
And so Masvidal was going to have to wait. They tried to get the first fight together, and Masvidal said no, because he said, you're insulting me, not only a pay-per-view, but the guaranteed portion.
Right.
So he is tweeting like crazy, release me, Dana, let me free of this. I don't want to work for you anymore. And then, ironically, right on schedule, quote unquote, Gilbert Burns tests positive. He's got COVID.
Yep.
And he's quarantined, and all of a sudden, Dana has to throw this together on the fly. Masvidal readily admits, I haven't really been training. You haven't? He said, I've been going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. I've been lifting some.
Right.
I'm not in shape to fight most people, but that guy, I can fight him.
Right.
The quote was, am I in shape to beat this bum that I'm about to beat? He said, I'm about to decapitate and baptize this guy. Am I in that kind of shape? He said, hell yeah, I'm in that kind of shape. So the point is, Masvidal at age 35, because of a COVID positive, he's had 48 career fights. That's the second most.
That's a lot of fights in that sport.
Of any man or woman in the sport before they get a title fight. So he, by fate, by COVID fate, gets his first title fight at age 35. And what is required is they both had to fly to Vegas to get tested. Usman was already training in Vegas, I believe. But Masvidal had to fly to Vegas to get tested, and then fly halfway around the world to Abu Dhabi to Fight Island and get tested and get tested and tested again. Right. So it's possible it doesn't come off anyway. Right. But only Dana could throw this craziness together and make it work.
And because Dana was in a pinch, Masvidal probably ended up getting the money that he wanted because they wanted this fight to happen. You have to have a main event, Skip. And Usman, they had blood at the bad blood, had word at the Super Bowl. The thing that I love most about UFC, Skip, you got one middleweight. You got one welterweight. It ain't no WBA, the IBF, the WBC, the NO, all that. You got one belt. You want to come get it. And they ain't no ducking and dodging. No. Ain't that ducking and dodging. Well, I'll fight him and I'm going to build up my resume and get me some easy fights. No, you're not.
And Dana still rules it with an iron fist, man.
Hey, but one way to do things. That's Dana White's way.
That's right.
Good, bad, or indifferent. You can say what you want about him, but hey, he gonna get it done. And the best are going to fight the best. Ain't no ducking in. Skip, it was like this, boxing used to be this way. There was no duck. Skip.
I'm not sure they could have pulled this off.
No, I'm saying, but the best always fought the best. It wasn't like Ali was ducking Ken Norton and Frazier and Foreman.
He took them on one after another.
Sugar Ray, Marvin Hagler had to fight Sugar Ray and Durant and Tommy Hurt. You had to fight, Skip.
True.
Ain't no ducking it. Nah, he might get me. So let me get me on a couple of big paydays. Nah. And that's the thing, what makes UFC so spectacular, Skip, is that you're not going to have a Floyd Mayweather-type reign. Now, what John Jones has been able to do, Skip, has been unbelievable. But the likelihood you have somebody go 15, 20 fights and don't taste defeat, too many things can happen. Now, Skip, I believe he's been fighting. Masvidal has been training. He's in good enough shape. The thing that concerns you, even though Usman, he was preparing for one particular type of guy. That guy's totally different than what he was expecting.
Totally agree.
So you run this. It's not always good. I mean, hey, but Skip, when you train and you don't get paid, I mean, ain't like a whole lot of advertising dollars in MMA. You get paid to fight, and you got to fight.
Okay, but it does sound to me like Masvidal had kind of lost heart for it and slacked off. He admits he slacked off a little bit in his training.
Right.
And now in 5 days, you got to fly halfway around the world and get your first ever title fight at age 35. And he's like, bring it on.
Well, you got to try to end this there early then.
You better.
Because you're not going.
Totally agree.
You're not going to deep waters. You're not because Usman fights at a pace. He keeps attacking.
And he does want to take you to the ground.
Yeah. Oh,
he wants to grind on you.
Yeah, and he'll throw a punch. You try to tag you and try to take you to the ground that way. So Masvidal better throw. That's not Nate Diaz, Masvidal. I'm telling you, if you think you're going to have a push over that kid there like you did Diaz, that ain't going to happen.
Well, Masvidal did beat Nate Diaz in what became a controversy because the doctors stopped the fight on a TKO.
Right.
And now Masvidal's already talking about a rematch with Nate Diaz because he wants to prove he can beat him fair and square.
Look, I mean, that's really, I mean, I don't know what they call it, the BMF belt. But Usman said, I don't even want it. He said, but just bring it anyway. I tell you, I'm going to take it from you and throw it in my closet. Who you got?
So they asked Masvidal, by the way, he's got a little Conor McGregor in him, if not a lot.
Conor don't want none of that.
No. But Masvidal was asked, well, are you happy with the money? And he said, I'm happier. We're making progress. We're on the right track. But he said, now I get paid to break this guy's face. Well, that's a Conor line, right?
Yeah. I mean, Skip, that's a different mindset. That's a different mindset. I mean, in boxing, Skip, I ain't worried about nothing but your hands. I mean, uppercut, but I got to worry about knees. I got to worry about elbows. I got to worry about feet. I got to worry about you taking me down, choking me out. Yeah. That's a different mindset.
Well, I congratulate Dana once again.
He pulled it off, Skip.
If in fact, it all can come together.
Skip, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't going to watch this. I'm watching this.
Totally agree.
I'm watching this.
When I saw this last night, I said, I'm there.
Oh, I'll get that.
I will watch.
Well, who you got? You take him off at all?
I'm just afraid he's not in good enough shape yet. You listen, what they do in that octagon, it takes extreme shape.
It takes extreme condition.
Especially if your opponent can make it go 5 rounds.
That's what happens to Conor. When Conor has to go the distance, he normally loses.
Yeah.
If he can get you out of there early, he normally wins. So if he's not in peak, you need to be in peak because those are 5 rounds. I mean, the championship is 5 5-minute rounds.
5
non-stop. And you got, Skip, it's mentally draining because you got to focus all the time.
Yeah.
Because you can have no slip-up. A slip-up and guess what? Herb Dean waving his hand like this is over.
Yeah. I think I'm leaning to Usman right now.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Because of the last secondness of this.
He coming to fight. And they don't like each other for real.
No.
And so that adds to it.
Yep.
I think I might take Usman.
Yeah. All right. Good for you. Smart
I
man.
love that Fight Island is just actually a thing.
Yeah.
Can we just appreciate how incredible that is?
We gotta go
It's
to
a name and that it's actually there.
We take our show there.
Yeah, let's go to Debate Island.
Can we all go?
We're
Can
going
we
to
get the
Debate
invite?
Island.
No mercy.
Now, they don't call him Iron Mike for nothing. Mike Tyson was spotted working out with a steel cage at an LA beach last week, flipping the massive steel cage across the sand. Shannon, on a scale from 1 to 10, how impressed were you by this?
What is that?
Seriously.
That ain't nothing, Skip. It is a cage. The cage probably weighs like 50 pounds.
I know, it looked light to me.
Yeah.
You could flip that over with your little finger.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
Skip, but I will concede this. To watching Mike on IG and listening to him talk, Mike Tyson is in the best place in his life.
Agreed.
He's happy with who he is, where he is, and what he is.
Yeah.
I just wish, just imagine what he could have been had he been here then. He might have won. He might have been 75-0, and the greatest fighter in the history of the world, and nobody would have ever touched him.
Right. Now, we have seen some sparring videos of late.
He looks
and
good.
Those are high. I'd give those 9 on a scale of 10.
He looks good, Skip. He looks good. He's lost a lot of weight. He's trimmed down like he probably 230, 235.
Yeah, I don't think he looks great, but he looks way better than he used to look.
Oh, yeah.
And they're talking about him competitively fighting. So I don't know who would get in the ring with it.
Well, I mean, it'll be no for no charity. You don't box for charity.
I'm still pushing Shannon Sharp versus Mike Tyson. And for charity, how about it?
Nope, there ain't no charity. Nope.
Yeah.
I ain't got no kids named Charity.
No.
You know what, Skip? Don't take me up on that. My youngest daughter just got accepted to med school, so I might have to do something. I might have to do something strange for a piece of change. Yeah.
She's going to Vanderbilt?
Actually, her sister goes to Vanderbilt.
Really?
No, she's going to IU.
Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Chip off the old block.
All block. I could have been a doctor, lawyer, scientist, anything I wanted to be. I chose to be old lowly football player.
All right, moving on to Patrick Mahomes. He already has a MVP, a Super Bowl ring, and a Super Bowl MVP under his belt, but it doesn't look like he's stopping there. Mahomes took to Twitter to post this workout video. So, Shannon, we're going to do another scale of 1 to 10 here. How much do you love this video?
You know what? I give him a 6. Skipper, look, and people are like, well, why? Whatever it's going to take you to get to the place where you feel you can perform your best, and if you need to put out videos so you can see your progress, I'm all for it. Now, I can assure you, I've been playing and they had social media, but Skip, I had what we call an unveiling. I wore long sleeve, wore sweats. Nobody saw anything till all of a sudden I came back from training camp and I stripped down. Orange peels everywhere.
Game over?
Yeah, it was over.
Okay. So, on my scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this a 2.
Oh, my goodness, you a hater.
This man is the Super Bowl MVP. I know in 2020 it's all about enhancing your brand and increasing your ability to sell products, right?
Yep.
But I don't need him to sort of tell me by displaying these videos what he's up to.
What about your guy?
I need him, this is about Patrick Mahomes, I need him to show me in September that he can repeat. And again, I've never thought of Patrick Mahomes as being in the greatest shape because even you said last year it looked like he weighed about 250 or 60.
I ain't said no 50. I said
You
240.
said 250.
I said 240.
Okay, and we've
looked
also agreed that quarterbacks we've known down through the ages never were ripped or cut.
No.
It's just not that position. It's not the definition of that position.
No, it's not.
So when I see Patrick Mahomes post this hype workout video, it makes me wonder, are you a little insecure about your off-season work? Because then I wonder, what did you do the next day? And what did you do the next day? And the next day, and the next day?
I tell you what you won't see is your guy posting anything with his shirt off.
Who?
Oh, Dad Bod.
Who?
Oh, Dad, you know who.
Oh, that guy.
You know who.
I thought this was about Patrick Mahomes, the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Hold on. You told me Tom Brady's won 6 Super Bowls, has won 3 MVPs.
He's about pliability. He's about lengthening his muscles, not actually
does he post
ripping his muscles.
Does he post anything on social media? So you would prefer him to just keep that to himself, right? And to show me, Tom, that you can do something outside of the umbrella of New England, right? That's what you want, Skip.
Yeah, but do I want to see Patrick Mahomes grunting through the workout? I'm doing this and I'm pushing this weight and I'm doing this and I'm driving that weight. And look, I can throw no looks in practice, right?
That's why
against air.
That's why he was able to jet down the sideline for 40 yards, and they couldn't catch it.
He jetted. I timed that 40 yards in about 7 flat.
I don't care. He still can outrun Brady. Yeah. You know that. Skip, let them look.
There were 13 missed tackles on that play, and there are only 11 guys on defense, so some of them missed him twice.
Let me ask you a question. You don't think entertainers, let's say actors or actresses, you don't think they rehearse and then go back and look at it? You don't think they do that?
Well, that's different.
Why are they different?
Well, he's not rehearsing.
He's rehearsing.
Oh, stop it.
What you saw on that video is there you go right
He's
there.
showboating.
You see what you see?
It's called showboating.
You see he was pumping that leg, getting that drive right. Look at that drive.
No, I don't
Go, Pat. Go, Pat.
Oh,
go.
nice. Wait, 35 tried to take his flag, and there was no flag.
Couldn't run.
35 thought they were playing flag football. Grab his flag. Oh, we don't have a flag.
He looked like a little bit like Bolt. Looked like a little bit like old Usain Bolt.
Did he?
Yeah, a little bit like Bolt. He looked heavier than Bolt, a little shorter, but he looked good. Yeah. Huh. They call him Thunderbolt.
Stop it, Patrick. You're better than that.
No, you're not.
You're above that.
Do another one, Pat. Do another one. I might go work out with it next time.
I'm giving it an 8, especially for that vintage film feel he gave the video. He knew what he was doing. Well, that does it for us. We'll see you tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern.